Hello, this is Haley Sims, a current University of West Alabama student. Last semester, I actually completed a signature project stage 1 paper, which was a research paper. This signature project number 2 is the video that is going to be following. So my chosen research was the effects of EDGE on improving achievement for 5th grade students living in poverty. EDGE is an intervention program that is used by the state of Alabama for our schools to help implement achieving a better outcome with their academics with students that are struggling. My focus was on a 5th grade class, which ended up being my own class, and were students living in poverty. Now, these students were not identified or given the names. They were giving, every child in my class was given a form for their parent to sign if they would like to be included in this. It was not told to the parents that this was due to an impoverished setting in my classroom. It was only allowing the parents to know that I would be doing a research paper with the effects of EDGE and seeing if using EDGE as an intervention would help improve academic achievement. As we begin this research paper, a lot of it had to do with the poverty that was happening around my area, but I did expand it to the actual poverty that is found in the state of Alabama. 1 in 5.6 people living in Alabama is living in poverty, and according to the Welfare Info of 2019, this rate is 2.4% higher than the national poverty. Students are struggling to achieve average grades in their reading and math due to their home environment being affected by parents who are disengaged due to excessive working. Provided that the parents of these students are actively working and trying to make an income, the valued time that is crucial in a child's primary age is directly affected in their mental development and adolescent growth. Bohat, ALA 2020. Now you have to take into consideration that these students that we're discussing in this classroom for 2021, these students are the ones that were highly affected by COVID of 2020, and they actually did miss a massive portion of their 4th grade year. So they were sadly already being affected with their academics due to COVID being present. The poverty rate for Foley, Alabama, which is where our school is located, is a staggering 13.3%, and out of every 7.5 people living in Foley, 1 is directly affected by poverty, which is also brought to you from Welfare Info of 2019. Magnolia School is actually located just outside of Foley, but they are in the Foley jurisdiction. A lot of our families are in very sad situations. They are highly impoverished. We are a Title I school at Magnolia. A lot of our students are receiving a free lunch, free breakfast, because they do not have the means to be able to afford based on their parents' income. A lot of these parents do work several jobs. I have several students off the top of my head that I can tell you right now come in and tell me that it was a long night just because they, were having to take care of their siblings because their parents were not there. And I, concerned, I would be like, why are they not there? And they go, well, they're working. Several of these students will say or mention that their parents are working 2 to even 3 jobs each day just to make the ends meet, and it's just sad. For this research, a 5th grade class, which was mine, from Magnolia School, was chosen to record the direct effects of poverty in the classroom and how it affects academic progress. Now remember, COVID had a huge burden on this just because. Now, I will say that if I did this research again, I would do it preferably on a year that was not affected by COVID. And if I had put that in there again with COVID, I would actually put that in my research paper that COVID was a crucial part of why a lot of students were probably lower in their academics, more so than a normal classroom should be. The study's focus was on the correlation in Alabama's low academic progress in the chosen 5th grade class at Magnolia School. The intent of this research was to concentrate on the direct connection of poverty and the low academic progress gathered from the review of both Alabama and the Magnolia 5th grade class. Now we move down here, this figure number 2, United States map identifying the national poverty rates in each state. This is probably the biggest thing that stood out during the whole thing of my research paper due to the fact that Alabama is one of the top 6 worst impoverished cities. Sorry, not city, state. We are number 6. So we have a higher poverty of 17.2 and above that are being affected. Moving along, you'll see that this is actually a figure that I created based on my classroom. Each number does represent a student, and then I have their grades over here. So A to F, A being the best, and F obviously meaning failing. Students affected by poverty were the ones that are in green, and students unaffected by poverty. Now, the way I chose this was the ones that are receiving a free lunch in my classroom. Those are the ones that I chose to be the ones that are being affected by poverty, because that's how it works with a Title I school. So I just kept it the same. As of 2020, the average household income for one adult was a mere $12,784 yearly salary, which is just astounding. On average, a 4-person household would be as little as $25,701. These salaries are significantly low for the daily life requirements and needs in a family. This is the Alabama Possible 2020. We're going to skip down real quick. We're going to actually show you a little bit of what was transpired during this research. So my students would be given, as a whole group, charts like this that were given with maybe key idea and details or main idea. That's what we really focused on. They would be given one of these, and as a whole grade, we would go over how to properly fill this sheet of paper out. Over here was key details, supporting detail, supporting detail. I did cut these in half because they were very similar. I would do it once a day. So this week we would focus on key ideas and supporting details. We did it every single day. Now, so the sample of students that were used within this research will be children aged 10 to 11, which is the 5th grade. The 20 students chosen from this study came from 5th grade class, which is within the Magnolia School, which is where I taught. The sampling technique of using the STAR custom reading and math will be used to help identify the strength and weakness of each student during the study. This test is required by the state of Alabama to be taken by all students to record math and reading achievements. The same STAR reading or STAR math assessment will be given to each student in the classroom. Now, the anchor chart that we were using prior is just a worksheet that they would be using. The test scores that you saw above are the ones that actually recorded what the STAR reading and the STAR custom reading is what we would use. After we would do the anchor charts, we would do the STAR custom, and this STAR custom had the exact same questions. They did not change. The students just had to look at them and be able to answer them. This study will be performed using a quantitative approach using the STAR custom for both math and reading. The grading process will be used from the total amount of students within the 5th grade class chosen. And there will be a total of 20 students and 11 students that identify as impoverished background and 9 students that identify as coming from a non-impoverished background. Now, the variables. Students will be given the same amount of time for intervention. This includes the ones that were impoverished and those were not. This research will be tracking the academic progress of the 20 students from within the 5th grade. The timeline. The study will begin by administering the STAR custom. This was to basically give us a starting point for their reading to know where they were, and that's how we started the tracking and their progress. These tests will be given without instruction on the content within each subject. The STAR comes from the state of Alabama and is a requirement for all elementary students to complete 3 times each year. The students will be given 5 20-minute sessions of intervention throughout the week, and at the end of each week, for 6 weeks, there will be a STAR custom test administered to the students. The progress will be collected by the teacher, and recorded using the provided graph to track the growth or decline. Very important to know the reliability and the validity of the instrument being used. So STAR Custom will be administered through an online program provided by the state of Alabama. This is not by me. This test has not been created by me, but this is a standardized test for the students in 5th grade. The validity of these administered tests are delivered to the students using the standards for the state of Alabama. These standards are chosen specifically for each grade. Each student will be needing access to their personal computer and account to be able to successfully participate in the study. Edge books, which the Edge books are the ones that we used for the anchor charts and the graphic organizers that we used as a whole classroom. Going over the success of this research at the very end, if you'll notice once more that the green students represent students with a high poverty, and the red students are the ones without. You'll see that almost every single student did gain during the course of this time. We did have some students that were very low. They started off low. If you notice, actually, some of the students started very low, while others started in the 60s or 70s. But during the process of this research paper, we had much success with the EDGE intervention. So going back to the top up here with our title, The Effects of EDGE on Improving Achievement for 5th grade Students Living in Poverty, this would be an accurate statement of saying that the research was conclusive in saying that EDGE was an improving factor of the students that were stricken by poverty, and they did show achievement as they participated in this research paper. I appreciate you listening for University of West Alabama's class of my signature project stage 2. Thank you very much, and I appreciate you. Thanks.